Okay, so we decided to work on the pomegranate. And what we're going to do for now is put a layer of dark color, dark value. So I'm going to take, we have prism violet here. I know everything looks the same color right now at night. Prism violet, raw umber. I'm going to take raw umber and alizarin crimson. Let's mix them together. And let's give this pomegranate a nice dark color base, especially the bottom part. We don't have to worry too much about where there's a strong light. Because the color changes, so it's really bright in here. So we really don't have to add this dark color where there's bright, there's a highlight. No need. Let's take, it's actually only the bottom part. And I'm using a flat brush or a bright. Okay, now one more, and I'm just gonna let it dry. All this area here is dark, and also in here. And let's push it out a bit. All right. I'll let it dry. We come back and we can highlight. All right, so now I'm going to highlight.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Are you recording?
Yes, that's okay.
Okay.
No,
it's okay.
Do you want to say something? You can say it,
No,
even if I'm
I'll say it
recording.
later.
Okay. The light is coming from the left, from here. So this area is highlighted, and this is dark right there and dark here. So I'm going to start with using, I'm going to do it slowly. Let's take alizarin crimson at this point and cadmium red medium. So we're highlighting slowly. Otherwise, we're going to end up with a flat or too bright of a surface. So this is might be a little bit more of the cadmium red light. Yep. All right. I'm going to start where the light is. That's the easiest way. Going to build up my highlights slowly. You know, when you're highlighting, you don't want to start with the strong light right away. I have a bit of reflected light here, right there. So you can see that what I'm doing, I'm trying to do is use a dry brush so I can get some texture. I know it's highlighted more. See, that's the thing. When we're highlighting, we usually go straight to that lighter color right away. And I think what we should do is build it up. Build up your highlight. Don't go straight to the color you see. If you see a light color, don't go to that color right away. Build it up slowly. Start with dark, medium, light, because then what you're doing is you're giving the surface depth, because this way you can still see the darks underneath. And that makes it look less flat, because highlights usually they do make the surface flat. Okay, let's do that.
I like how your brush strokes are like as if you are painting a real pomegranate, like you're putting the paintbrush on a round object.
Yes, I'm turning my, I'm trying to turn my my brush around so it goes with the surface, the same. So that's what is going to make it look like.
It's neat when you're painting and you get into that mode of like, it's almost like you have a three-dimensional object in front of you and you're painting around it.
Right. Yes. That's the only way to give it that shape. I know there's a very light highlight in here, but I'd like to add this, put this medium tone over there. So, all right, now this area here, it's really dark, but still I can see some highlights. So my brush is kind of, has a bit of paint on it. And I'm using now the corner because I know there's not a lot of paint in here. And I'm just going to skim over the top. Alizarin crimson is transparent. Cadmium red medium is not transparent. So when I'm using alizarin crimson, that helps because I want to still see the dark underneath in certain areas. And that's where alizarin crimson comes in handy. Because it changes a bit the color of the darks into a dark red, but you can still see the darks underneath. It doesn't take it away. All right. I'm using the corner of my brush now because I don't want too much paint. I want this kind of textured. Okay, brush is dry, so I dipped the top of the brush only in paint. So when you see a highlight, you don't want to go straight and put that highlight color in there. See what's behind it. What's behind the highlight? What's behind underneath this highlight? What colors you see underneath, and then start with that. And then you slowly build up your colors into the highlights. Okay, there's a shadow in there. So I have to now switch to a round brush, which is easier to do this little detail in here. I'm going to take some of the Prism Violet Raw Umber, and I'm going to use a little bit of white. Let's take a little bit more of the, this is just Prism Violet and white. I'm sorry, Prism Violet, Raw Umber and white. Because this is what I'm seeing in there, kind of. I'm going to take a little bit of red alizarin. I will go back to this and highlight it. So it's like I'm building up my highlights, kind of. Take a little bit of red.
Is it just that alizarin crimson as well?
Yes, just a tiny bit of alizarin crimson in there. I'm going to take red. That's alizarin crimson. I didn't, after I've done this, where I had Prism Violet, Raw Umber and white, I picked up a bit of alizarin crimson, put it in here as well, just a little bit, and then I didn't clean my brush. I just picked up a bit of cadmium red medium, and I'm going to slowly try to add some detail in here. Raw umber with a bit of white. All of these colors have, what I'm doing right now has, this color has, although I'm picking up raw umber and white, I do have more than raw umber and white on my brush, because I'm not cleaning my brush when I'm picking up the other colors. Now this is a little bit tricky, and it will look better once I highlight the back. Right now, because everything's dark, it's a little bit tricky. But what I'm trying to do right now is not really highlighting. I'm trying to place texture to see how it looks, shape. Okay. All right. It's a lot of highlights in here, so I might go back to and darken this area a bit after when it's dry. All right. Now, I think this is dry, so I can go back to this now and highlight it. Because it helps if I start adding the strong highlights, but I don't want to do it right away. Just want to give some time for the paint to dry. Okay. This in the back here, I need to clean up after, or maybe I can clean it up right now. Let me see. Right. I'll clean it up after, but that's fine. Okay, let's take. Let's try to highlight. I'm going to try to highlight this part right here in the back. So I'm going to take now at this point cadmium red medium, and I'm going to take cadmium red light and add it. Let's keep that. Let's take this alizarin crimson as well and add it to these colors. Just because I don't want it to turn, I don't want the color to turn orange. Let's see, try to use touch of white in here. Cadmium red light, touch of white. Okay. Okay, change my brush.
Is it looking a bit orange now, or is it my screen?
It's looking a little bit orange. What I'm going to do after is glaze it with a bit of alizarin crimson.
Red?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, alizarin crimson. I'll glaze it to tone it down. But I need those strong highlights right now. Okay. More of the and if you, by the way, if you when you look closely at the pomegranate, you will see that the reds are different in certain areas. They're not all the same reds. So certain areas, depending on the light, will look like they're more of the cadmium red medium, and other areas will look like they have more of the cadmium red light. So it depends really where the light is hitting. I better stop talking so I don't make mistakes now. The main thing is when I'm highlighting, I take my time, I build it up. Okay, this is a smaller brush than the one I was using before, so it gives me a little bit more of the texture. I'm using the corner of the brush so I can get more control and texture, because if I use the flat, then I am putting the color all over, and I'm actually covering what I had before, and I don't want to do that. I want texture. So the best way to do that is to use the corner of your brush. And if you lose that dark underneath, that's okay, because we can always put it back. We can go back and add it. Okay, now I'm going to take this and with the flat brush right now, like this, because whatever color I have in here, paint, it's just leftovers. So I can do that. Okay, corner. So if I want to add more of this color in certain area, I turn my brush to the corner, and then I put the color all over like that. Now I don't have too much paint in there now. I'm just going to go into flat. Take white, push the white into or add it to cadmium red medium. There's a strong highlight right here. So I'm going to do that. Again, the same idea. I'm going to add it slowly. Not right, like not the whole. If you see that strong white, don't put the strong white right away. I'm so tempted to use clear gesso.
I do. And it's better. Why would you use clear gesso?
Because it would spread it softly.
Spread it easier.
And it will be.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it would be like a glaze. It's easier.
Yeah. What did you use for that? Red light and white?
Cadmium red medium and white. I'm going to let it dry and come back to it. Meanwhile, this is dry and it's drying darker, so I'm going to take cadmium red medium now. Actually, it has a bit of cadmium red light in it, so let's mix them. And let's take a tiny bit of raw umber with the corner of my brush. Yeah, that's better. let's let it dry. I'm going to let it dry a bit and then we'll come back to it. All right. I'm going to stop recording for a minute. Okay. All right, let's work on this part, highlighting it. I'm going to start with the top part because this way I can see what I'm doing, kind of. I'm not going to follow exactly what I'm seeing in there because there's a lot of different colors. I'm going to try, but I'm going to try to simplify. Let's put a bit of white so we can see what we're doing. I'm adding raw umber as well in white because it has a bit of an earth tone in there, but so I'm going to use whatever I have in terms of colors.
Is it possible to zoom in on that?
Sure. Give me 1 minute.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let me do it in another way. I'm going to stop for a minute and then I'll come back. All right, so I'm just adding a little bit of highlights here and there. I'm going to take a bit of raw umber. Use white with raw umber. Color is a bit too gray.
Looks like it needs a bit of red in it.
Yeah, so I'm going to just kind of use red like that. Now this raw umber and white is good for the side, but I'm not going to use it just by itself. So I'm using raw umber and white, and I'm going to put a little bit of that prism violet in it. More prism violet. prism violet again, a little bit of the raw umber because I lost some of the darks in here. I'm going to go back to reds now and work on this detail in the back right here. All right. There's kind of a brownish color inside of the pomegranate in here. But, you know, I'm going to try with the raw umber to create the same shape. And if it doesn't work, then I will glaze it later on. I'm not sure if this is necessary, but we'll go with it. This detail I'm doing right now, but we'll just do it. Okay. Adding white now to red. And let's highlight this part again. Red, cadmium red, medium or light, and white. And I'm using a round brush. I'm actually mixing both colors together, both cadmium red medium and cadmium light and white. And I'm just going to start again by highlighting slowly again. We're going to end up with a strong highlight eventually. This white looks extremely white on the screen right now. It's not that.
No, it's good.
It's just because I'm zooming in. I'm zoomed in, so you see the light. You see the white strong. It's not that strong. It's more like a light pink. Dabbing a bit of highlights. Okay. All right, so I want to finish the edge of this highlight with the red slowly. So I have light red now, cadmium red light with white, bit of white, not much. And I'm just gonna kind of blend slowly the highlight right there. And again, if I find that the highlight over here where the red is too orangey because it's cadmium red light, I can just glaze it when it's dry with cadmium red medium. Okay. The red raw umber is not working, so I'm going to switch to burnt umber.
It's not working for what part?
For this part here. Here, and here. Let's take burnt umber and white. It's warmer. This is turning the raw umber is turning gray. Let's give it a couple of dots to give it texture. I'm going to use Prism Violet, small round brush.
What color are you using for the texture?
Prism Violet, and I'm adding a little bit of red in it too. Prism Violet. Yeah, I'm using this. Here. It's turning too dark. That's the dots here are too dark. So I'm just gonna put a couple of dots here and then go back and adjust value. This is cadmium red medium, and it's
you have a drop of red of water on the right hand side.
Thank you. This is cadmium red medium, and it's like a glaze. It's not too thick. And you can see that the dots I had before, they were looking very dark, but once I glazed with cadmium red medium, they look okay now. This is cadmium red medium glaze, so it's not too thick. And I'm just adding some texture in red. Okay, I'm going to redo this in a minute. This is not working. Color is not right. Actually, I'm going to just kind of put, this is burnt umber right now. Let it dry and then I'll come back to it. Meanwhile, I'm going to glaze this a bit in red. I'll come back and I'm just waiting for this to dry and then I'll come back to it. Okay, finish the pomegranate with a bit of little details to add, but in general it looks good. For this week we're done. Next week we will work on the rest of the seeds.